Welcome students in the online organic chemistry lecture series. Today we are going to see about the very important topic of your organic chemistry paper, that is a natural product. We are going to start this topic today, and we'll take some lectures to complete all the points which are there in your syllabus. So let's start today. Now let's see the introduction part of this topic. We know the main source of natural products is plants and animals. Okay, we obtain the natural products from the plants and animals, but the natural products which are found in the nature are very crude in nature, so we need to isolate them and we also need to purify them. So there are different methods by which we can isolate the natural product. There are different methods by which we can purify the natural products. So what are that methods? So solvent extraction, fractional distillation, crystallization, sublimation, and there are some chemical methods by which we can purify or isolate the natural products which are found in the plants and animals. So examples of the natural products are like terpenoids, alkaloids, steroids, carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins. So all these are natural products which are found in the nature and which are very widely used for the different applications, like in food chemistry, in medicines. They are used as a flavoring and perfumery agents. Also, they are used in plastics and paints. So these are some applications which are narrated over here. But there are many more applications in which these natural products are utilized. Now, let's start from the first class of natural products which is there in your syllabus, that is terpenoids. So the main source of terpenoid is a plant, okay, and they are the derivatives of isoprene, hence they are known as isoprenoids, okay. The important thing which we have to remember over here is that the source is plants, okay, and they are the derivatives of isoprene, so they are called as isoprenoids. Now, what is this isoprene? So this structure is basically called as isoprene, okay. The name is isoprene, this is common name, and 2-methyl butadiene we call it as a, its molecular formula is C5H8, okay. So we can say that all terpenoids are made up of isoprene unit. So what is the general formula of terpenoids? The general formula of terpenoid is C5H8 n times. So C5H8 n times, this is the general formula of terpenoids. So when we distill out terpenoids, then there is a formation of isoprenes. So this confirms that the terpenoids are made up of isoprene. So this thing is to be remembered. Now let's see about the classification of terpenoids. Now depending upon the value of n in the formula C5H8 n times, these terpenoids are classified. So if the value of n is 2, then the terpenoid is called as monoterpenoid. Its formula will become C10H16. The examples of monoterpenoids are citral, alpha terpineol, alpha vinine, and camphor. So you have to remember these examples because in small questions like fill in the blanks or multiple choice question, these type of questions are asked, like didash is monoterpenoid, like citral is monoterpenoid, alpha terpineol is monoterpenoid. So you have to remember this. Similarly, if the value of n is 3, then that type of terpenoid is known as a sesquiterpenoid. Then its formula will become C15H24. The famous example of sesquiterpenoid is farnesene and farnesol. Similarly, if the value of n is 4, then it is the type of terpenoid will become diterpenoid and its formula will become C20H32. The examples are phytol and abiotic acid. If the value of n is 5, then the type of terpenoid is a sesquiterpenoid and the formula will become C25H40. The examples are O5-Volene A and ascorbic acid. If the value of n is 6, then the terpenoid is known as triterpenoid. Its formula will become C30H48. Example is squalene. If the value of n is 8, then it is known as tetraterpenoid. Formula will become C40H64, and the examples are carotenoids. And if the value of n is large, that is n times, then they are called as polyterpenoids, and their general formula will become C5H8 n times, and the famous example is natural rubber. So this is the classification of terpenoids, we can say. So how it is classified? Depending upon the value of n, the terpenoids are classified. So you have to remember here the value of n. General formula is C5H8 n times. So if you remember the value of n, then you can easily remember the classification. Another thing you have to remember is the examples, because these examples are common and they can be asked in the examinations. Now let's see further the isoprene rule. As I said earlier, all terpenoids are made up of common unit known as isoprene. Okay. Now this is first of all explained by the scientist Wallach in 1987, and he suggested that the carbon skeleton of all naturally occurring terpenoid is built up of isoprene units. So this thing is first of all explained by the scientist Wallach, and thus we can say that all the terpenoids are the derivatives of isoprene. So you can say that all terpenoids on distillation will give isoprene. So this is known as isoprene rule. बहुत simple है. Just you have to remember is that all terpenoids or carbon skeleton of all naturally occurring terpenoids is built up from isoprene unit. This is known as isoprene rule. Who proposed this? This was given by the scientist Wallach in 1887. So that's it. This is the isoprene rule. Now let's move further. The special isoprene rule. Now the special isoprene rule is given by the scientist Ingold in 1925. As Wallach has said that all the terpenoids are made up of isoprene units, this Ingold has given how these isoprene units are joined together with each other to form the terpenoids. So that is given by this special isoprene rule. Now if we see the isoprene unit, then the branch end of isoprene unit is called as head and another end is called as tail. So the head of one isoprene unit will form bond with tail of another isoprene unit. Similarly, tail of one isoprene unit will form a bond with head of another isoprene unit. In this way, there is a head, tail type of arrangement, and there is a formation of terpenoids by joining all these isoprene units. This is known as special isoprene rule, and that is given by the scientist Ingold in 1925. So this is all about the special isoprene rule. Now another rule is there in your syllabus, that is Geminal dialkyl rule. Now let's see what is this Geminal dialkyl rule. So first of all, before going to study about Geminal dialkyl rule, we must know about what is Geminal carbon atom. So what is Geminal carbon atom? The carbon atom which is having 2 methyl group. A carbon atom which is having 2 methyl group is known as Geminal dialkyl carbon, and that group is known as Geminal dialkyl group. Now according to Ingold, the scientist who has already proposed the special isoprene rule, that scientist Ingold has proposed this rule. What he said that if the Geminal dialkyl group is present on 6-membered ring, then that Geminal dialkyl group increases the angle strain, and due to increase in angle strain, the ring is destabilized. This is said by the scientist Ingold. But further he said that if that Geminal dialkyl group is present on smaller rings like 3-membered ring, 4-membered ring and 5-membered ring, then they are stabilized because the angle strain is relieved. Okay. So in other words, we can say that if the Geminal dialkyl group is present on smaller ring like 3-membered, 4-membered, 5-membered, then the angle strain is relieved. But if that Geminal dialkyl group is present on 6-membered ring, then there is an increase in angle strain and that 6-membered ring destabilizes. Okay, so we can say that this Geminal dialkyl group helps to find the carbon skeleton of cyclic terpenoids. Now if bicyclic terpenoid is there, that means if 6-membered ring is also there and 3-membered ring is also there, then in that case, if Geminal dialkyl group is there on 6-membered ring, then that should be present outside the ring. Here you can see the example of monocyclic terpenoid where the Geminal dimethyl group is outside the ring. Again, here you have to consider the example of this bicyclic terpenoid. So see here, this Geminal dimethyl group is present on smaller ring, that is 3-membered ring. So this is about the Geminal dialkyl rule. Now moving further, let's see some structures of terpenoids. So these are some common terpenoids which are found in your syllabus, which are there in the nature, and these are the important structures you have to remember. The first one is alpha terpineol. Its molecular formula is C10H18O. This monocyclic 6-membered monoterpenoid you have to remember. Okay. Then you have to see the structure. Then this second structure is very important. Its name is citral. Its molecular formula is C10H16O. It is acyclic monoterpenoid. And remember, it is the major constituent of the lemongrass oil. It exists in two geometrical isomers, cis and trans. Further, we have to see this part in detail. But right now, you just remember that this citral exists in two geometrical isomerical forms, that is cis isomer and trans isomer. This third example is the alpha pinene. Its molecular formula is C10H18. It is bicyclic monoterpenoid. One ring is 6-membered, another ring is 4-membered. It is the major constituent of turpentine oil. It is obtained from various pinus species, and the important thing which you have to remember here is that it is optically active compound. Okay, and the final structure which is given over here is a camphor. Its molecular formula is C10H16O. It is bicyclic terpenoid having two rings. One is 6-membered ring, another one is 5-membered ring. Okay, it is monoterpenoid. It occurs in all parts of tree camphor. And another important thing to remember here is that it is also optically active compound. So this is about the introduction of this topic and the first part of this topic, that is terpenoids. We have seen the occurrence of terpenoids. We have seen three rules: isoprene rule, special isoprene rule. Also, we have seen the geminal dialkyl rule. Okay, and finally, we have seen the structures of some of the terpenoids. So in this video lecture, this part is sufficient. In next video lecture, we will see about in more detail about the example of this terpenoid, that is citral. We have to see the geometrical isomers of citral. We have to see its structural elucidation, and we have to see its synthesis. So that part we will see in the next lecture. So in this video, we will stop here, and the further part of this topic will be continued in the further videos. So we will stop here. Thank you.